The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to the Fine to Fab Show with Lisa Lieberman-Wang, helping women reclaim their inner peace and power, going from feeling fine to being fab, fabulous, awesome, beautiful, serving to empower you to break through the barriers that weigh you down, to live an authentic life that is healthy, happy, and free. Now, here's Lisa.
Hello there, I'm Lisa Lieberman-Wang, your trusted guide from feeling fine to being fab, and I'm happy that you're joining me today. You know, I am committed to helping women break through the barriers that weigh them down to live an even more authentic life that is healthy, happy, and free. And I am looking to help and get more people to join this movement to empower these women, and you can do that by following me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn at Lisa Lieberman-Wang. You can also stay connected with this active community by texting in the keyword FINE to FAB, FINETOFAB to 90210 and hit send. And I want you to know that this call is live, so if you'd like to chat with me today, you can call in at 561-422-4365 or Skype in at W4WN Radio. So I always have a guest on the show, and this time I decided that I was going to just have a talk with you because I have been going through so many things, working with my fabulous women and talking to different people online and having all kinds of conversations as transformation. And I thought the perfect conversation would be about the question I keep hearing from everyone, and I want to say everyone in a generalization, is why me? And people think, you know, why me? Why did this happen to me right now? Why did I get sick? Why do I have cancer? Why did I, get abused when I was younger? Why me? And there becomes a second question that most of us do not ask ourselves of, why not me? And I know that when I was growing up, I felt like I was alone, like I was terminally unique. All these different things happened to me, and looking at me now, you'd never know I have a long history of eating disorders, depression, therapy, medical challenges, countless hospitalizations, spending over 6 months in the hospitals, over 11 years. And it was always like, what's wrong with me, or why me, and what's happening to me? And what I really believe is that there always had to be a better reason. And I used to say, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. And I always finished it with, yes, but I'm fooling him too. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that the questions I was asking weren't serving me, and the answers to why me always gave me great excuses to stay where I was or to make it worse than it was and to feel bad for myself. And I remember so many of my why me's came from, why is my dad so strict? My father wanted perfect children. We had white glove treatments. We wanted to go outside and play. The house had to pass a white glove inspection. In other words, no dust, cleaned everything else before we can do anything. I felt like I grew up so fast that I didn't have a childhood because both my parents worked. My mom was a distance for her businesses, and I tried to pick up the slack at home. So responsibilities as a kid, I felt like I became an adult really quick, and I didn't really know what it was like to be a child, in my opinion. And, even to the point of being taken advantage of on a date and being attacked by an employer and developing eating disorders. It's like, why me? Why did I have to go through all this? And I remember, I'll paraphrase Dr. Donnie Epstein. This man is brilliant. He's been on the cover of Forbes and other kinds of magazines because he has NSA, neurospinal analysis, and so much of our ailments and things that we have come from internalizing what we've gone through. And Dr. Donnie said to me, we were in Egypt, and I said, why is it that all these things are happening? And he said, that it's really people of greatness that these things happen to, because as we walk through them, we can teach and help others. Now, I'm not saying that all the things that have ever happened to any one of us is great, or that it's supposed to happen the way it did, but here's what happens. For those that can find it within themselves to be strong enough to walk through it, you actually become a conduit and a voice and a mission to serve others. And I think of it as Mother Teresa, where Mother Teresa really wasn't necessarily given much, but she gave so much. And it was really about what you can do for other people and playing a role. And I know that with thousands of people I've spoken to, so many people feel like they want to save the world and help other people, but the thing that's always lacking in all these conversations is there's always something within them that's missing, and they're doing all the work and they're trying to help other people because they haven't yet figured out how to help themselves. So the why me feels better when you're trying to help other people. You're thinking, well, at least if I can't help myself, I can help this one. I'm making a difference. I mean something. I'm important. And, I'm special. It's okay. Now I have value. The truth is, just being is value. And instead of the questions of why me, what happens is it has to be why not me? Or what's good about this? What am I going to learn about this? What is the real mission or direction that's supposed to happen within this? And I can never think that anything bad can happen to us that's good. I don't say that. I just mean that there's always a message, there's something behind it that we're supposed to learn from. And it's the lessons that we don't learn that's really the most costly. And I look at it as so many years of being angry and hurting myself and keeping secrets and thinking that, these secrets, that I was the only one dealing with it. And then it just a couple of years ago when I decided to make this an open message, how many hundreds of women came to me and said, oh my God, I never would have thought. Now I realize that if you've gone through that, I can get through this. And sometimes our message is meant to go out further. And I don't mean it to the fact that now tell everybody your challenges. I don't still to this day share my message with people if I don't think it's going to serve a greater good. I'm not into one-upmanship with other women and men to say they have problems, oh, mine are worse. I really would never, ever trade my challenges for anyone else. I remember I was at a function and they said, everybody take all your problems and put them in a bag. And if everybody in a room took all their problems and put them in a bag, and this one was sexually abused, this one was molested, this one had a death of a child, this one, was injured and lost their leg, or whatever the case is, at the end of the day, when all those bags were put in the center, there was no one that was willing to take anybody else's bag. They all wanted their own bag back. That means that what was life dealt you still would be better than what's dealt somebody else. And what we think is so bad is really the definitions and the way we see it and the stories we put behind it. I can remember growing up, and even up until 5 years ago, some of the stuff that happened in my life, I thought it was so awful. I was so attached to it that I couldn't even speak about it without crying or getting emotionally teared up or anything else. And today, not that I'm made of steel or that anything big changed other than the meaning I gave it all. And I no longer live in a why me. I literally am curious and want to know, what is it I'm going to learn from this? What's the message I'm supposed to get here, God? Because I know it's more, and you wouldn't be having me go through this if there wasn't something that was supposed to be bigger than this. And I totally take things in such a different place that I'm asking better questions. And because I ask better questions, I don't feel the same pain. See, when we live in a world of why me, it's all about me. And when it's all about me, it equals pain. Pain equals self-sabotage. Think about when you go to do things and you feel bad for yourself. What are some of the things you do? When you're asking that question, usually it's, why me? And you feel bad for yourself. How am I going to make myself feel better? And then you make the excuse of, if I had a drink, I'd feel better. Because, why me? It's such a bad situation. Well, I need to feel better now. and I go for a drink. Or, you're looking for food because you're looking for something to feel better now. And I always go back to everything is when we do things in the why me world, it's all about me. The world's all about me. It's all about my problems. You don't understand. They're so big. They're so terrible. The thing that happens is sometimes people get through all that and they're good. They just get through it and they take care of the situation. But it's the aftermath when you have that, and you have time to relax, that all of a sudden, then you turn around and you want to pacify yourself to say, I got through this. I want to reward myself with something to feel better. But when we make things about ourselves, we make the focus totally about us, you'll find that you end up creating a lot of pain. And pain ends up our normal defenses is if we're in pain, we want to survival techniques come in and we want to get out of pain. So what do? Fight or flight. We're going to fight or we're going to run. So sometimes the fight can be, okay, I'm going to just go take care of it, all I got to do. But then the run becomes, I'm going to go for food, I'm going to start spending, or I'm going to use sex to make myself feel better. Whatever it is, it becomes fight or flight. But here's the best thing. When we change our focus and we stop making it about us and we start making it about others, we'll find that you can get rid of your pain. Now think about it. Think about the last time something really was bothering you and you were sitting pondering over it. Maybe you were drowning your sorrows in some ice cream or something. And if you have children, all of a sudden your child calls you and says, Mommy, I need this, or something goes, all of a sudden you jump out of that negative state, you get yourself out of it, and you take care of the situation. Well, that just goes to prove that we actually put ourselves in those places of why me and feeling bad for ourselves, because when we have to do something for someone else, we can take ourselves out of it. Well, if that's the case, that you can take yourself out of it, doesn't it mean that you're putting yourself in it? I look at my whole life and I say, how many things did I do to myself? And now that's pretty much a big question. Like, you think about it, we like to blame other people for where we're at. Like, I blamed my dad for years for where I was at or where I wasn't at, because I felt like if he let me do things, they wasn't so strict, I might not have gotten in some of the situations I was in. Blame my mom for not being there, for having her own business and not being there, but yet there were so many things she did that were a benefit because she had her own business. So when you start looking at all the different stories and you start taking your own responsibility, like, wow, I've made up a lot of great stories to be where I'm at. So how much of my actions are not why me, but are because of the decisions I made in those moments that I caused it to happen? How many times have bad things happened? And if you look at it honestly, you might have even created it yourself. I know I did. I know that there were situations with wanting to be liked and wanting to be in environments with certain people that I put myself in situations that I ended up compromising myself, where in any other day, in any other situation, I never would have put myself there if it wasn't that I was trying to fill a need of being liked and be part of something. Or we feel like we're trying to fit in and we have to look and do things a certain way, yet those are some of the rules we might have made up, but nobody else told us that. Nobody else said that's what it is. And I know this to be true, that all the stuff I'm saying is stuff we do to ourselves, because I do it all the time and I've done it in different situations. I think it just changes over time. So if you're now in a position where you're happy, but you're not actually as happy as you'd like to be, let's change the question. Instead of why me, start saying, what's good about this situation? What is it that I can get out of this? What do I really want? What do I need to be doing? How can I make this better? How can I choose to see this differently? If I wasn't standing in this situation and I was giving my friend advice, what would I be telling that person right now? How would I handle that situation? See, when we're in it, we don't see it. But when we take a step out from a different perspective, everything changes. Everything totally changes when you take yourself out of the equation. I think some of the best advice came when my grandmother said, baby, take care of your mother's daughter. I was so good at taking care of everybody else, but I did have a hard time, meaning I don't anymore, taking my own advice. So instead of saying what you always tell everybody else, oh, I have great advice for everybody else, but I don't take my own. Well, wouldn't it be nice? It's time now to take our own advice. If you would not give your best friend the advice of what you're doing to yourself right now, it's time to change what you're doing. And when you think that you're in a position where maybe your business is not where you want it to be, your career is not where you want it to be, you're saying that your boss or your associates aren't treating you properly and you don't like what they're doing, maybe it's time, instead of saying why me and everything happens to me, is to look at what you're doing and who would you have to show up as, who would you need to be different at that moment to get a different response. Because when you start changing your actions, your behaviors, your thoughts, and you show up differently, you will be amazed how everybody else shows up differently too. I equate it to a wind chime. I remember that when I was originally in my dis-ease with myself, and I was using food to find comfort and feel better, and that was my go-to. That was my feel better now substance. And I realized that a lot of times when people put down one thing, that's never the problem. The food's not the issue. It's how you feel inside. Most people pick up something else. So I put down the food, and there was a time I picked up spending. And I used to spend money. If I get about the food binge, I'd go on a spending binge. And then I realized that's not going to work very long, and I got rid of that. And then it was at the time when I was younger and I was dating. I was like, okay, let's see how much attention I can get, and let's see who'll take me out and get more dates. And then it was like, that's not working because I don't remember their names. So let's find another thing to do. And then it was like, oh, work. Work is good because if I'm a workaholic, then at least I'm making money. Money is great. That's the good. We usually switch addictions. We just go from one to another. Some people use gambling. Some people use alcohol, whatever it is you do. But here's the thing is when you stop running and you're present with yourself and you start being honest, you're going to find out a lot of things happen. One, you're going to stop needing all these other external sources to feel better. Two, when you stop reacting, that knee-jerk reaction that makes you like fight back, that fight flight, you stop reacting, you start responding, you're going to see people around you will not know how to really answer you, deal with you, change you. You're going to see they'll start changing as you change. So many of us want to change the world, but the only way to change the world is to change ourselves first. And if you change yourself and what you want, it'll start coming to you. I know I've heard so many people with The Secret, and they want to think all these things are going to come. I'm going to think, and all these things are going to come, and I make all this money. Here, guys, it's not just about your thinking, it's your actions. You need to change everything. Your thoughts, your actions, your mind, your spirit, it has to be in a whole system. But here's what happens. I equate it to a wind chime. I remember I had gotten out of the hospital. I had stopped, I'd kind of realized that there were people in my family and friends that I needed to disassociate with, that they weren't serving me, they weren't necessarily very nice to me, they were very critical or had very mean words, and, it's like from the saying, I didn't Leave It to Beaver's home where they never said a disparaging word. There were choice words used all the time that I really wasn't in favor of and didn't like. So I had to kind of turn things away. And I said, there was a time I had to literally close off parts of my family and walk away. And my family didn't like it very much. They called me some new choice words because I decided taking care of me meant getting rid of some people. And I did that for several years. But the funny thing, it was like a wind chime. It made so much noise. It was clattering, and there were so like a big wind gust comes out, and this chime, makes all this noise, and it kind of serves a ruckus, and you feel very uncomfortable, and people don't like the noise because it's just uncomfortable. It doesn't sound so pretty. But eventually, it finds its own harmony. It finds its own place. The wind kind of settles down. It now has this nice little tune, and everybody's happy. Well, that's what has to happen with you. It has to come in from you first, from thinking you're the victim and being the victim and acting the victim and then choosing to repeat history over and over again. It's changing those things. It's changing the story. There were so many times I came home, and I wasn't living at home at the time, but I'd go to see my family and they would do something I didn't care for, and I'd leave. Or somebody would call me and I'd have a conversation, and all of a sudden the voices got raised and I didn't want to go into the old behavior, so I'd hang up on them. and they'd get really angry at me, and they'd call me back. They go, "Did you hang up?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they'd be totally shocked. I was like, "Were you mean?" They said, "Yeah." And they're like, well. And I was like, "No, this is part of it. If you're going to be mean, I don't choose to respond or hear it. So I'm going to hang up. You have a choice. You don't have to speak with me." I think that, I used to tell my family, treat me like a stranger. You're nicer to strangers, because a lot of times we think that we have liberties because it's family. But you know what? If you started treating people the way you wanted to be treated, you would find you yourself would enjoy being in this lifetime, and so would the people around you. Too often we take liberties thinking it's only family, it's okay. But you know what? It's the family and the people that we love and the people that influence us the most are the ones closest to us. But what if we treated our family like strangers, and we were nice and polite and cordial, and we didn't think we could be so brutally honest to hurt them, but we were really supportive and encouraging and engaging? What do you think your relationships would be like? How do you think things would be better? It would be outstanding. It's funny because so many times we think we have all the answers and we're going to tell everybody how to do it. And as many times as I've had the answers, in the past I might have told everybody everything, but I'll let you know, I'm not one to do that anymore. I watch what goes on, I accept where people are at, and I stop being the judge and the jury, because the bottom line is I didn't want anybody to be my judge and jury. So if you are now pointing fingers at other people, you're pretty much doing what you don't like other people doing. And when you say, why me? Why is everything happening to me? The question is, what are you doing to contribute to that? And what can you stop doing now? So thinking about that, there's so many different stories that come to mind of things where I thought things were happening to me. Matter of fact, I was building one of my businesses, and I was working with a lot of people, and one of the things that was required in my business was coaching and mentoring them in a business standpoint. I was dealing with a lot of independent entrepreneurs who in their own fields were very successful, but maybe not doing what they were learning how to do. And it was so interesting how my form of leadership was very different than some others. But what happened is, as I became more and more successful, and my business kept growing, and I'm very fortunate it became a business that today sustained itself and has earned millions for us. What happened is there were other people that weren't growing their business quite the same. So people kept telling me all their problems, and I never told anybody my problems. And if they knew what happened to us, then they would be very surprised at where we really were, at where we came from. But people were telling me all their problems, and I decided that I didn't agree with all their stories, and they started getting angry at me, and that my leadership wasn't right. And what they started doing is pointing fingers. Now, I always think about this is, why do we point fingers at other people? Well, sometimes we point fingers at other people because we feel like if we can shoot them down, then we'll feel better. That goes back again to why me? Like, oh, they're successful, well, why not me? Right? Well, I'm not successful because of this, this, and this. Well, that might not be the case. You see, in my past, what people don't know is I've had so many trials and tribulations of good things happening, bad things happening, good things happening, bad things happening. But the one thing I've been very strong about is finding a way to look through and find the good. Now, I have to tell you, it wasn't easy. There were a lot of times that obviously 13 years I spent beating myself up over it because I didn't know how to see the good, but I kept believing. I always had a faith in something higher than myself, that there had to be a reason for this. I wasn't going through this because there was no reason. I was going through because there was something going to happen. And what was interesting is that everybody finds an excuse and they use it to sometimes put others down so that they can make theirs okay. And for me, that wasn't okay. I had gone through having an incredibly successful career coming out of college. I interned with IBM, and then I ended up having my own computer consulting company, and I got accounts that were so huge, and I was working out of a basement apartment. Nobody even knew where I was working. I ended up getting employees. Before you knew it, I had 8 programmers working for me, built a business that did incredibly well, but then I felt like adult daycare, and I said, I want to just stop with the employees and the work, and I ended up getting a job with MCI, made myself one of the top 2% in the world in sales with them, hit these quotas, did incredibly well, and then burned out. I burned out. Now, with everything else was happening, the stuff I shared at the very beginning of being sexually abused and taken advantage of by employees and all the other stuff that happened, all this stuff happened in my lifetime, and then I still had all this success. But the thing is, I never told anybody the stories of what was happening. Least of all, I told myself most of it over and over again, and that's why I ate over it. But so many people use their excuses, their reasons not to. I found ways to use my excuses for reasons too. But the challenge that I see most of the time is that the people telling the stories of why me are the people that also get stuck in every other area of their business and their life and their personal, and they use it as an excuse not to do anything. Sometimes I wonder if people make up the excuses just not to actually be successful, so they have an excuse to say, see, I couldn't help it. Well, what people didn't know is by the time I was 30, I was a millionaire, and by the time I was 40, I was almost bankrupt. So I'm going to share more about that. We're going to go to a commercial break in just a moment, and when we get back, you'll be able to hear how you can go from rags to riches and what happens there, and how you can change some of those stories to be more empowering, more fulfilling for you to serve yourself better and the community at a higher level. So stay with us. We will be right back.
If you've always wanted someone to connect with on your path to a happy, healthy you, I've got great news. In her #1 best-selling book, Fine to Fab, 7 Secrets of a Successful Woman's Journey Away from Depression, Disordered Eating, and Self-Sabotage, Lisa Lieberman-Wang shares how you can experience your breakthrough just as she did. Start living an authentic life without blame, shame, or years of therapy. Buy now at finetofab.com.
Now that I have your attention, ladies, when you need help breaking through the barriers that weigh you down, turning to food is not going to help, and starving yourself along with ongoing feelings of helplessness and frustration will not help either. The cycle of self-sabotage, disordered eating, and stinkin' thinking has to stop, and there is no better way than with other smart, business-savvy women like you who are making the change with best-selling author, licensed master NLP practitioner, and trusted guide, Lisa Lieberman-Wang of Fine2Fab.com. Lisa will help you get that breakthrough you've been waiting for. Go to Fine2Fabshow.com right now for all the details of the life-changing 10-week transformational program and the special listeners promotion. It's time to turn your life from feeling fine to being fab. Fabulous, awesome, beautiful. Go to Fine2Fabshow.com now.
Welcome back. Well, as I was telling you, I have an echo. As I was telling you, it's from rags to riches, and I believe there's a formula that we all have that makes it possible to change our future and not have to live in the past. And one is to get out of the past and learn to be in the present. I like this quote that I heard from Ellen Moth. It said, when you have one foot in the past and one in the future, you're pissing on today. And I have no intention on pissing on today, and I hope you don't either. And what happened is when I had my career in corporate America, I was working for MCI that later became WorldCom. And when they did become WorldCom, I had taken every opportunity to take the investments that they gave us, employee stock options, everything else. They'd match our funds that we saved. And I always put it away so that I'd have a future. And the great thing is, the stock ended up going into WorldCom. They gave us more stock, made more money, and before you know it, I'm rich. This is great. Well, I was great for a while, and then it wasn't, because WorldCom went bankrupt, and they never decided to call all their investors and say, oh, by the way, we're going to be embezzling and everything else. And before you know it, I went from rags to riches, really what felt like overnight. So here, what I had put away, had ready for my retirement, my future, I had to start over. And shortly thereafter, 9/11 happens, and my husband and I had just done a lot of stuff on our home, And we had put over $250,000 just in our backyard into pools and waterfalls and gazebos and bridges and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then before we know it, after 9/11, he was a computer consultant, and so many people ended up being out of work. They didn't want to pay consultants the prices. It was cheaper to have people as employees. And then he ends up losing his job. We end up going in debt, and we end up facing a point of almost bankruptcy, $500,000 in debt. Don't know how we're going to pay our mortgage. No money left. We overextended ourselves, thinking the gravy train would never end. And some people would say, "What? Why me, right? Why me? What happened?" And believe me, I said, "Why me?" My husband put his head in the sand for a couple months, and my dad used to say, you put your head in the sand, your butt's still sticking out. And I was a professional at doing that. I did that with the food for 13 years. And I'm over there saying, "No, I'm in the fight mode. I'm not in the flee mode. I'm going to fight." And I just took what I knew, and this was really one of the secrets, is I saw the vision of the future, and I needed to see the vision now. And that's where people make the mistake, is that they get caught up in the why me, instead of saying, okay, this happened. This is where I'm at now. What do I need to do to change? And I have mastered this because of all the training and the mentoring I've had from incredible people like Tony Robbins and Wayne Dwyer, Deepak Chopra, and Jay Abraham, and Jim Rohn, and I can go on and on and on, and Dr. Donnie Epstein and Guru Singh, and all these incredible mentors who I've listened to, like John Maxwell. Failing Forward is always about seeing a vision and moving forward, and that's all I did. I looked at the vision of not where I was, not what was wrong, but where I was going. And what I did is I took this plan of action and I said, I just need to know what I need to do right now. What do I have control over? And start doing it. And that's exactly what I did. I put a plan together. I took the action to do this. And the irony is I ended up being in so much pain internally that years ago I would have eaten over, and this time I took the pain to make it something that would drive me and give me energy and give me life, that I created something that is that what we did years ago is still taking care of me today. But how did I even get here? How did I get to find Fab? It's totally amazing how things happen in our lives, like I said, that we think is bad, and it becomes good. And it turned out that I built this business, and the business happens to be incredible, where not only helping other entrepreneurs, I've been able to use the skills that I've learned to overcome my own obstacles to help other people, and I've been doing it, and I've trained over 70,000 business owners doing this for years, as well as working with businesses as consulting for years in how to actually move forward and do things with their business. It turned out that I had some more family challenges, like as if it wasn't enough. Like we don't know how to pay bills, do things. And that was going back to 2002, from being very comfortable to uncomfortable. It was pretty much within 7 years, we went from thinking we're going to lose our home to being debt-free, having no debt, no mortgage, paying off everything. And that only happened because the why me stopped. That's important. The why me stopped. It was like, why not me? What's the message I'm getting from this? And I remember my mom saying to me when I was so angry, I was like, Ma, if I would have taken the money out of the market, if I would have done all the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And she says to me, Lisa, she said, if you would have done that, you wouldn't have been helping as many people as you are now. And it was because of that, and because of me building my business that creates a residual income, that I was able to teach other people how to do the same thing and help them. But I never would have went back to work. I was pretty comfortable. I was comfortable, right? I felt pretty comfortable knowing I had a nest egg put aside. My husband was doing very well in corporate. We had money coming in. Life was good. But then all of a sudden, we had nothing. We had to start over. But had that not happened, today we're in a better financial position now than I was 10 years ago. Yet 10 years ago, I thought I was in the best position, but I wouldn't have tried even harder to change it because I was comfortable. So sometimes what seems really bad, like thinking you're going to lose your home, dealing with we're gonna go into bankruptcy. How are we gonna pay the mortgage? We're worried about paying child support, doing all these other things. We don't even know where the money's coming from. We're selling everything we have. I'm like, honey, you're gonna have to start painting, doing something. I don't care. We need money coming in. And we were so scared. But that time now, looking back in hindsight, I can tell you, had that not happened, we would not be where we are today. So when you're in it, it's very difficult to see it. But when you get through it, you can see it. But what if at that moment when you're in it, you see it? What if you can take yourself out of the equation, not wait a year, 5 years, 10 years to see the good in it, but at that moment, ask yourself better questions. What's good about this? How can I make this fab? How can I make this great? How can I move forward with this? What am I going to learn from this? What if we can do that? And that's really been the gift. It's been the gift because what I've done in the last 20 years is learned how to go forward and not get caught up on it. And in the past, believe me, and even in the present, there are moments that I slip. I call them my moments of stinking thinking. I go through this thing, but I give myself permission to do it for an hour, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 2 hours, but they don't last 2 months or 2 years. They don't put me over the toilet bowl purging and getting rid of the food because I don't know how to deal with things. They're not sending me out spending money to feel better. It's an emotion. I know it's something I can control, but it has to be to move forward. But here's what happened. With all these things that happened because of what I thought was bad at that moment, not only did it lead me to helping so many other people, I was doing volunteer work for the last 20 years. And I was doing volunteer work because I felt that I was helped with my challenges and I was supposed to help other people. But it was because of the helping of other people that led me to what I'm doing today. My stepson was having some challenges and had gotten caught up with some of the wrong people. And of course, our environment and who we hang out with affects where we are. And you are the average of your 5 closest friends. So if your friends are losers, you're a loser. If your friends are successful, chances are you'll be successful. But his were not. And he was definitely doing the wrong thing. And in a quest to help him, I decided that it'd be great to introduce him to Tony Robbins and bring him to an event because Tony helped me with my bulimia and some of the challenges I was dealing with and with the sexually abuse 20 years ago. So I figured if he was able to help me, this was great. He's coming to New Jersey. I'm going to fly my son in from Florida and get him some help, and this will be awesome. And it turned out that as I'm sitting in the room, and I decided to bring my husband too, and it was very funny because I have been, an unbelievable student of all these masters for years and always believed in mentoring. I ended up telling my husband, it's my stepson. I said, well, I registered him. I said, and I also registered you. And my husband goes, what do I need to go? Because I've been living with Tony Robbins for 14 years. I don't need to go. And I was like, handsome, it's a little different. You're going to love it, whatever. And I just wanted to make sure he sat in the room. So it turns out that we go to this seminar and we're in the room. I'm listening. I'm like, I'm in a good place. I think I'm in a good place. I feel good. I'm looking for more. I want more. I think I'm supposed to do more because I really believe that God gave us a purpose, that every one of us. I like that Deepak Chopra said, there's something that you do really well, better than anybody else in the world. And your only mission in life, and this is what he told his kids, he didn't tell them to go be a doctor, a lawyer, or anything specific. He said, your only mission in life is to find out what you do better than anyone else and go out and do it. And I said, that is so beautiful. And I always believed that I was living at a lower standard, that I knew that I was meant to do more. That what I've been doing at a quiet basis where I didn't break my anonymity of sharing what I went through with anyone unless I thought it would serve them. I literally lived in a glass bubble to make sure I was protecting myself at all times. And when I sat in the room with my stepson and my husband and I'm listening to this whole thing go on, I turn around and I say, I want more. I'm looking to play at a higher level. And I find out they have this platinum program where Tony Robbins will mentor you with a small elite group of 100 people. I was like, wow, that would be incredible. This man gets $1 million an hour to work with somebody What if I can get time with Tony? This will be great. When I know I'm supposed to do more, I'm going to find my purpose. All about finding this purpose. Sometimes we're looking for something and it's right in front of us and we don't even know it. It's quite funny. So I'm looking for my purpose and I'm thinking it's so many different things. But the challenge was I was thinking, I wasn't feeling. And when we're in our head, we don't necessarily get the right answers. When you just slow down, and the hardest part for most people is slowing down and being. You know, we're human beings, as my friend Barbara Montgomery said, not human doings. We're always doing something. How about being? And what happened is I ended up realizing all these different things. We go to Egypt, and Lauren's Slocum, who's been with Tony Robbins 20 years, one of his production people, incredible mentor and coach, author, unbelievably successful woman, is with me, and she knows me for 20 years, and we're in the lobby of the Four Seasons. And I remember we're having a conversation, and I'm saying, Lauren, I know I'm supposed to be doing more. I'm supposed to be serving at a higher level. I don't know what it is. And she says to me, Lisa, you're supposed to be helping women. And, you know, with all the challenges I've gone through, and it comes back to what I said at the beginning. And I said, no, Lauren, I'm supposed to help businesses make money. I'm so good in business. That's my thing. I help businesses make money. And she says, no, you're supposed to be helping women. And I'm indignant. I'm fighting her tooth and nail. And I don't know if you're familiar with kinesiology. And she starts muscle testing me and putting my arm out. And now I'm crying like, no, I'm supposed to be doing this. And then she's testing. She goes, Lisa, you're supposed to be doing both. And I totally walked away from that. And I said, I love you, but no, I'm not going to help the women. I'm not doing that. I'm helping businesses. That's what I'm going to do. So I end up with one of our businesses. We've been doing website services for businesses. I've been really a marketing expert for 30 years and teaching people how to understand people, which is why I do what I do, and how to serve people and what their needs are. And it turned out that she said, I ended up saying, I'm going to help with the marketing. That's what I'm going to do. I started another business to go off with our internet website business. And it turned out that a year later, I woke up and I said to my husband, I said, handsome, I'm supposed to save lives. And when I realized that I was not, that was really the path I was given, I just shifted everything. And you know, when I say save lives, somebody said to me, you can't save anyone's lives. And I owned it. I said, okay, I can't do that. And I said, well, yes, I can, because I can save someone's life. If I throw out a life preserver and they catch it, then I just saved someone's life. And it's almost like that starfish story, if you've heard it, that little, you know, all the starfish are on the beach and the little boy's out there and somebody comes walking by and he says, there's so many starfish, you can't possibly save them all. And the little boy looked up at the man and just thought for a moment and looked down and grabs the starfish and throws it in the water. He says, made a difference to that one. Picked up the next one and he said, made a difference to that one. So the idea is that we can make a difference and we can save lives. And my mission became so much bigger than me, and it was really to touch more lives and open, knowing that I can help you, and you help yourself, and you help somebody else. We all make a difference. And this became a movement. So Find to Fab started because I spent years of feeling fine. And fine was fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And I really wanted to feel fab, and that's fabulous, awesome, beautiful. And I believe every one of us are fab already. We don't need to do anything to become fab, just be. And the whole mission was really about helping more people see now what you already have, instead of waiting to look back years later and realize all the stuff we've missed and all the opportunities we've missed, and to serve at that higher level. So if you are not where you want to be, if you're still looking for the answers and thinking there's something wrong, it is really time to stop with why me and say, why not me? And take what's going on and know it is going to serve a bigger mission. It's going to serve a bigger purpose, because as you figure out how to get through it, because it's called life and there's changes. And you not just get through it as a survivor, you get through it as a conqueror, and you live life, not survive. That's like below par. But then you help other people do the same. Know that that might be your path and might be your purpose. But it's how you get through it and how you walk through it, run through it, or smile through it that will make all the difference. Some of the tricks I've learned over the years were really, not just asking what's good about this, but learning to smile even when I didn't want to. And now you say, why do you do that? That's pretending. That's being fake. I don't tell you it's not being fake. I think being a sourpuss and always doing depressed and acting out and thinking the whole world is like after you and you're losing, that's really fake. That's doing something stupid. But the truth is that if you are smiling, the muscles in your body, the way you smile, the way it affects your neurotransmitters, it makes it almost impossible to be depressed. And your mind doesn't know the difference. So you can actually, if you're going to fool it by telling your mind how awful things are, you might as well fool it and tell you how great things are. And smiling in the face of adversity, there's no reason to relive it and feel worse about it. And smiling, you'll always find better solutions to challenging situations. I eliminated the word problem in my vocabulary years ago because I always thought when I have a problem, I felt like I was already defeated and I didn't know how to win. And I always said, I'm not going to do anything that I'm not going to win at. So I wanted to change it, and I changed it to challenge. And I remember I got a phone call from somebody once. I said, call me back when you have a challenge because I don't know how to fix problems, but I am awesome at challenges. So it's always about looking at what's good in it, finding the solution, stepping yourself outside of the situation so you can see it a little clearer, looking at things from other people's perspectives, not always thinking it's all about you, and life can and will change. It totally, totally gives us so many opportunities outside of ourselves when we stop making it about ourselves. And if you'd like to stay further connected with us, I just started a new blog. Please go on and like it. Join the list. It's called LisaLieberman-Wang.com. It's LisaLieberman-Wang. And you can also go to America's Fab Coach, FAB. Coach.com. Check out the site, share it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Be sure to like me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I will always have new postings, new articles, different ways for you to be fabulous, awesome, beautiful, even more. And you'll find out about Get Fab, and that you'll see also that I am offering coaching, which is incredible about Fab because it's really about finally authentic breakthroughs. If you're looking to get somewhere and you're not where you want to be and you think you need a therapist, weight coach, or you need all this other stuff, I'm going to tell you finally you can be Fab without it, and you don't need to spend years in therapy. So I've already wasted my money there. We'll save you some, but we'll make you more. I appreciate you being with us today, and I look forward to having you on our next call. We have some incredible speakers lined up, best-selling authors, doctors, professionals, incredible guests. So be sure to join us every Wednesday live, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, you can always call in, be part of the conversation. Remember, you're already Fab. Have a fabulous day.
Feeling tired and achy? Frustrated with allergies? Stress causing you high blood pressure? If you're ready to feel better, have more energy, maintain healthy cholesterol levels, joint flexibility and circulation, looking to reduce inflammation, support healthy glucose levels and sinus relief, plus so much more, Isotonics OPC3 is a food supplement made from a combination of bilberry, grapeseed, red wine, and pine bark extracts, and citrus extract bioflavonoids, all found to be powerful antioxidants. Oligomeric proanthocyanins, OPCs, are bioflavonoids found in fruit, vegetables, and certain tree barks that provide exceptional nutritional benefits to the human body. Studies have shown OPCs to be up to 20 times more powerful than vitamin C and 50 times more powerful than vitamin E in neutralizing free radicals. Isotonics is delivered in an isotonic solution, which means that the body has less work to do in obtaining maximum absorption, as you can drink your vitamins. No pills, binders, or fillers. Buy now at www.amillionproducts.com. Isotonics OPC3.